Hey guys, Derek here. Welcome back to my channel. I haven't been uploading for past 3 or 4 weeks, but I'm back now. I just shifted from Mumbai to Bangalore for good, so I'm all set up here. And anyway, let's get straight to the video. Today's video is about earning well through your art and what exactly you're doing which is hindering you from that, and also why you, in effect, like why you aren't earning that well through your art, right? So especially in a country like India, not many people know that there's a sure path like where you can actually earn well through art, right? And there's no guidelines as such. But I'm just going to show you guys a few reasons as to what's usually stopping y'all and what's actually needed to help y'all. Okay, so let's get straight to it. Number one is you're not treating your art like a business. So many people don't realize that art too is a business in itself, right? It's not just a hobby. So for a business, you need to put in investment. I don't really mean capital investment. I just, yes, money is there, but at this point, it is actually the least of your concerns. Though, especially if you're starting off, it's time and effort that is needed the most. Okay, so if you're not really putting in a large part of your day into this and a lot of effort into it, you're not really going to get any returns, right? So like any business, like you really have to put in a lot of time and work really hard to it. So once you start thinking of it in that way, like as an investment, right? Everything you do, even if you're learning something new, it's an investment into this business that you're building up. Or even if you have some money and you decide to put out some ads or buy some equipment and so on, use that as an investment. Okay, like take away the fact that it is a hobby from your mind and start thinking of it in that way. Now once you put in time, money and effort, you have to work in such a way that it brings you returns. All right, it can't just be a waste. That is why you need a niche. Now you can't just be doing everything under the sun, okay, like regarding art and trying a little bit about everything. Like you can't just go out, like for example, if I draw a timeline over here and you start investing in many different small things, right? I want to try portraits, I want to try backgrounds, I want to try landscapes, and then you try to make that like your thing, right? You see, you get okay at many different small things, but instead once you start investing your time into one niche that you're really good at, this is where you start to stand out. This is where you start to get more of a chance to earn through it. This is where people actually start noticing you, right? So you need to build up this niche for sure. So that's why you have to be good at it, not just okay at it, okay? Otherwise, people are not going to want to give you money for this, okay? Second thing is a strategy, right? I'll come to that a bit further, and a business plan. So you can't just be creating art just for the sake of creating art and then hoping that something will just happen to you and be like, okay, maybe somebody's just going to notice me and be like, hey, I want that. No, you have to look at what is needed, where you are needed, and start planning accordingly. I'll give you guys an example, okay? For if you want to make music videos, right? What's doing well really right now are the lo-fi loops. So if you start making animated loops with that lo-fi chill mood to it and start putting those out, if you collaborate with a musician, so his friends share the video, your friends share your art, and you start getting in more and more orders for that. That's one way of starting. That's a really small niche, but yeah, that's an opportunity, right? So that's where you got to be good at. Like you may be great at illustration, but then you got to start applying it into that niche, which a lot of people aren't doing. You're just making whatever you'll want. But I'll come to that, where y'all can make whatever you want and don't really have to care. Next thing is, your art is not good enough, okay? This is the harsh truth. A lot of people assume that once they reach a certain level, they are good enough. But actually, you really need to stand out. And to stand out, you need to make art that people would really want to buy and invest in. So now you have to think, what reason are you giving people to buy your art, right? And are your skills good enough to be hired? I'm just going to give you all an example from my life, where I'm going to take the really broad niche of, say, portraits, right? Where a lot of people, especially in India, when starting off, they usually draw celebrities or anime characters and all of that. And the thing is, how do you make a career out of portraits, right? There's no set industry for it. Okay, here's an example. Here's a small sketch that I had created of my friend, okay? I'm just going to use sketches of my friend that I painted over the years. So this, okay, is like, meh, like okay, fine, if you're in like 6th, 7th, 8th stand, this would be good, and then people tell you that you're talented, and then you get the idea in your mind like, hey, I want to, like, I'll charge some small amount of money and sell portraits like this, right? That's what we think. Okay, that's fine. Okay, friends and family will buy it, fine. Okay, now once you start developing your skills more, you can then start, shading, lighting, making things a little more realistic, getting a better composition, actually trying to make the other person look good as opposed to just copying their face. Yeah, so this is when people start to notice you a little more and be like, okay, you have skills, you're beyond just the average artist. Then once you start applying other things that you learn, like your fundamentals like lighting, a bit of composition, a bit of values, you can get something a little more advanced, right? And here's then where you can actually pitch and be like, hey, I'll make portraits, or people could actually use your work for poster art or even an advertisement or so on, right? At this point is when you start, making yourself a bit more known out there, and also building up your skills, because if you can paint something or sketch something like this, you'll be able to do this for a lot of different things, right? Like whether at this level, then you'll be able to sketch out some scenes with more characters in it, and then you can place them in a scene, make a keyframe for movie art and so on. So this is where you have to start evolving, and then once you put more of yourself into it, this is another stage. Like, as you notice, none of these have colors, right? It's just black and white. So once you get, say, if you want to get into colors and lighting, shadow, all of that, then you can really push it, And here's then where you stand in your own sort of a niche, where people can look at it and be like, oh, hey, I love those colors, I love that lighting, I want this, okay? I want this as my in a scene, right? Or I want this as a music album cover art or anything, right? Or even people even commission work for you. So you really have to look at your skills and be like, where do you stand? And this is just a small thing about portraits, but even if you're doing scenes, if you're doing storyboarding, if you're doing animation, how good is your animation at to be hired? So if you're not that good, if you're like at stage 1 or so, at this point, don't expect to make a career out of it, okay? That's a bit harsh, but don't expect until you put in the time, like I said, investment and effort to get to a better place, okay? Next thing. You are not standing out. So what I mean by standing out is, what part of you are you adding to your work, okay? So even if you take portraits, right, you can just copy the person exactly as the picture is or as they are in life. But what if you start adding your own twist of colors to it, or add some story element, add some ornaments to them which are not really there, or some clothing style, fashion to it. That's where you start adding your part of you to it, okay? And that's where some people have this mistake, is where they start copying. They see what other people are doing. Like, for example, if you see a landscape with a really blue saturated sky and round clouds, and you think like, oh, hey, that looks cool, I want to do that too. That's good for practice. But when you think that that's going to be a career move for you, like, I'm doing this because I want to get hired for this, it may not work, because that's okay. You can use that as a base, but then add something more to that, make the clouds a little different, add something in the foreground, add your own character to the composition, make it more of you. Don't just do what others are doing to be successful. Use their principles, okay? Use the way they are working. Take what's best from them, but don't copy their work as such, okay? You have to always see, people are always going to go to them and hire them. They need to come to you, so you have to add a part of you to that. Next biggest thing is, you lack confidence in yourself and your ideas, which is also why you all are copying others. So the thing is, like, a lot of us, we have this imposter syndrome, right? Maybe I'll be found out that I'm not a good artist or anything of the sort, right? That it's harsh. But the thing is, once we start believing in our ideas, that's when we start putting more of ourselves into it. Like, it can be anything. Like, your art style could just be entirely black and white and very sketchy, right? But because you see other people being successful online using vibrant colors, you want to do that. But no, stick to your style, make it good. Make it so that other people want to, like, buy that, okay? Or hire you for something. Focus on what you're comfortable with there and push that. Just push what you are beyond. And another thing is, we lack confidence because we fail. Maybe our post doesn't do well on social media. Maybe nobody's liking it at this point. But that is just the first step of the ladder. You got to keep going at it, failing a lot till you get to a much better place. and that is where you give people a reason to notice you, right? Because of the above points, because of standing out, because of going at this hard. Like for example, if you're uploading art every day or every alternate day, people can look at that and be like, oh hey, this person is really dedicated, this person can work a lot, this person has consistency, we want to hire them. Okay, so you need to have that reason. You can't just upload one artwork once a month, especially if you're starting off. If you're already well established and all, fine, good, you can do whatever you want. But starting off now, you really have to give people a reason to hire you. They need to see qualities that they would want to hire. Okay, next thing is, you are not working hard enough. Okay, this is the truth actually. You underestimate how much time it takes. Okay, look, for example, these sketches that I put here is just I just had these ready. I think I put it as my Facebook cover or something, so I always have this image of it easily available, so I just put it up. So these sketches, I think from year to year, were all done before I even was hired anywhere, right? This was before Disney, before my internship, I think, or it was during my internship in third year. This is what I was doing during college. Okay, like, and this was all personal work. None of this is college assignments over here. So, and this is just a small amount. Like, I would paint every day for hours. That is, I think, a base level of what is actually needed in terms of hard work, because as you can see, there's storyboarding, there's keyframes, there's studies of animals, there's even anime fan art, there's Dragon Ball Z, there's some Pixar fan art, there's everything, there's even Calvin and Hobbes over here. So that's the thing, right? You just got to paint a lot, work hard, think of it as investing time into your business, all right? Each painting you make is taking you that much closer to success. It's pretty crazy. So that's how much time it takes, okay? Like, I personally, when I'm work 10 to 12 hours a day just on art, okay? And it sounds scary, but that's what, think of it as a 9-to-5 job, but more, because the creative field, I mean, it's kind of crazy that way. It does take up a lot more time. And yes, how much drawing is needed? You need to draw a lot. See, a lot of people who are good at art, also, it's because they've been drawing from when they were a child and they stuck with it. So now if you're relatively new to the field and you've always had this interest in art, but you haven't been drawing every day, like even out of personal interest, you need to catch up, right? So you need to draw every day for hours to actually get that good. And even if you're like a genius prodigy and you develop skills just by looking at an image and are able to replicate it, right? You still need the skills and mindset on how to apply that in the right way. So just by drawing the same, like a scene many different times, right? Even if it's your bedroom, you'll find a way to show things better, right? Okay, I want to focus on the character. I want to focus on the entrance more. I want to focus on the lighting. You don't just get that with one drawing. You need a lot of practice. And biggest thing is you have not made it a priority in your day. Like a lot of us in our day, we have 2 or 3 meals or even more. So we know, right? There's typical breakfast, lunch, dinner, right? Those are priority. At night we go to sleep. That's a priority. I mean, some of us go to sleep. Make art a priority. Like we have our meals, there should be a yearning, there should be a hunger for art in your day, and it needs to be there every day of your life. Okay, I think there's some kids screaming outside. Sorry for the disturbance. Next thing is you're bad at networking. We always think, maybe I'll start putting myself out there when I get good, or when I get better. But no, start putting yourself out there now. Start messaging people who you see are probably at a similar level to you and being like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about my art? And even comment about their art. I mean, be nice to them for sure. And start talking to people more and more, because you never know, like one right conversation you have with the right person can change your career for good. I wouldn't suggest going and badgering high profile pages and so on, being like mentor me and so on. That usually doesn't work, because most people don't have the time. Even though people would love to help as many people as they can, they really don't have the time, and they get a lot of messages like that. So that wouldn't be the right way of networking. The right way would be to start in a community, be involved in that community by talking to friends around you, I mean on social media as such, right? And like you'll start promoting other's work. You will have your own 10 friends, they'll have their own 10 friends. Together you'll have 20 friends, and start building that up further and further. be a part of that circle, and whenever there's opportunities, share it with each other, especially if you can't take it. Don't just say no. You can be like, oh hey, I have a friend who will do this instead, you know. So that's how it starts. And use social media as a platform. Don't be too scared to start. Even if your art sucks right now, right, use this time, social media, to start building up, knowing what's happening, knowing what the scene is, knowing who are the people you want to talk to, know where you want to get, and so on. Okay. Next up, you are not separating your work from play. Okay, I cannot stress how important this point is. Actually, is you need to value your time, right? And so a lot of time we spend is given into, you know, personal work. Hey, I'm drawing this for fun, right, or so on. That is needed, yes. You need to separate that from your work, because once you get too stressed about work, that stress will come onto your personal work as well, right? If you see all these 3 points together, right, you need some part of your day where you create art that you don't care about, in the sense like you don't care about it looking good. So because once you remove that pressure, once you start going back to drawing because you love it, you stop caring too much on the extent that, oh hey, this sucks, you know, it needs to look that good. All your art does not need to look good. That's why we artists have a ton of sketchbooks that we keep to a side, which sometimes we don't even show anyone, right? Because that's where we keep our bad art. That's where we keep the art where we express ourselves out. So you need to have that division, right? All your personal work is not going to look good because you're spending all that effort and time into making your client work look good. So, and the work you do for your business, right? So that's the thing, separate that. And another thing is invest more time into creating instead of researching and learning. What I mean by this is that, you know, when we first get into art, we'd be like, oh, I need to get all these reference images because I'm going to study a lot. Oh, I'm going to look up all the books first. Or I need to find the perfect digital brushes to use. Those are hours wasted. Instead, start making art. Once you reach a problem in that art, for example, if you're painting a window, right, and then you don't know how to paint glass, okay, so then you research, okay, hey, how does glass look, okay, how does glass work under different lighting, what kind of a glass am I painted, is it going to be frosted, is it going to be normal, is it going to be thick or thin, is it going to be reflective or not. Then you look up images, then you research, and then you apply that, right? That makes a lot more sense, because then you'll have a finished painting and you'll have properly studied, say, glass, you know, as opposed to looking, oh, I want to study materials, here are image references for wood, glass, fire, and then you don't even have a painting, you just have a ton of image resources. That's a mistake a lot of us make. So, oh wow, this video is already going to be 20 minutes. Okay, in summary, let's finish this. Treat it like a business. It is your priority, okay? Improve your skills, definitely needed. Put in a lot more time, right? Like, this time factor is really important, right? Most people just draw for an hour or two every day, or 3 hours at most. No, treat it like a proper work hour. Like, especially if you're in college and so on, if you have the time, because you don't usually have other priorities like caring for paying for your rent, and unless you're living from a different city. But put in more time. That's important. Try and stand out as much as you can, because that is what people will notice you for. They won't notice you for being a copy of another person. And separate work from personal art, because this will also help you be mentally healthy and not judge your personal art as well from a view of, does this look good or not. Okay, so art, remember, is an expression. So keep your personal art that way and draw because you love it. And also, thanks for 1,000 followers. That's pretty insane. And stay tuned for more videos. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get